panel discussion now, following Rafiq's presentation. Unfortunately, Guillaume is not unwell, so he's unable to join us. But we do have Younes Duret of Younes Design, a French-Moroccan designer focused on balancing tradition, identity, and modernization. If you'd like to come up. And we have Ezequiel Ruete of Aerial Perspective, an Argentinian artist and designer whose organic aerial structures protect biodiversity while embracing technology. And Rafiq, if you'd like to join us again as well. Obviously, your empathetic architecture connects people, culture, and climate. So, starting with you, Younes. Could you just tell us something about your story and how you started, please?
Okay, so basically I'm half French, half Moroccan. My mother is Moroccan and my father is French. I studied not far from here, design school called NC Les Ateliers. And then as soon as I had my diploma, I went directly to Morocco and I started my company with my sister. She's the business manager, She's doing all that. Me, I'm not good to doing that, so she's handling these kind of things. And basically, when I was a student, I always asked myself about the design as a designer, what I can do, trying to understand this job and trying to know where I can position myself in this field. And when I was in the school, I started questioning the way we learn design and what we are doing. And I've been to Morocco when I was a student, and I work with craftsmen there. And I've been to the souk of the Medina, which is the place that we always go. And I never, you go there and you never ask yourself why the souk is that way, why things are like that. And suddenly I stopped and I start questioning everything. And I start trying to understand why the Medina is like that, why the souk is like that, why the craftsmen create the product like that, why I always start my lecture saying why the babouche is pointed, and I realized that it was difficult to adventure. And so I spent time with the craftsmen, I spent time with the people in the Medina, trying to understand, and I did my diploma in my school on the souk of the Medina, why it's like that, how they sell product, how they produce product in the same space, how you can modify a product super easily because everything is in the same space. So you can buy, but if it's not the way you want, you can change it, you can make it your own. So there is no the problem of just buying, throwing away, then buying another one. Everything was completely different. And as soon as I had my diploma, I was like, okay, let's go to Morocco. Let's try to start something. And since then, I really spent hours, days, months learning about objects of this civilization, the geometrical pattern, and really trying to understand why the objects are like that, where it comes from, what the origin of the object, and things that I've never learned in my design school. Because it's always about new material, new technology. And as a designer, you're proud to say, I use the new material, I use this new technology, I use this and that. And we are completely disconnected from actually historical product, why they are made like that. And I really start working on that and really start developing this idea of being linked with product, with craftsmen, and learning materials through craftsmen that have the knowledge hundreds of years ago, and they share this knowledge with me. So I spend really lots of time with them, and I started designing products, trying to because everything, the way people use product are not the same, the way they live are not the same. It was a nomad civilization, went to sedentary civilization, so they moved from other way of living. So you adapt to that, you adapt the product, you try to see how you can be helpful in this change. But when you understand the product, when you understand where it comes from, suddenly your perspective also change on the way you use this product, and you create new product from that. And I start designing for different kind of brands, and doing scenography also. And now I don't know, I live in Marrakesh, and there is my office in Marrakesh. I show the picture of my office because as a Moroccan, you're all welcome. Like we say in Morocco, "Malhaba bikoum." It's you're all welcome to my studio if you go to Marrakesh. And now I'm working on the square in Marrakesh called Jamal Afna. I'm sure you know this famous square is a UNESCO protected space of immaterial, human immaterial. I don't know how patrimoine immatériel. So it's a very important historical square, 1,000 years old, and I work as a designer. I was part of the impact study to understand the history. I worked with sociologues, with anthropologues, with people from the UNESCO to really define the different period of the square. And now I'm working on the rehabilitation of the square with architects, paysagists, light designer, and everything. So to me, I'm working on the signage, all the street signage, and how for you to be able to understand the square, and on all the little kiosk where you can buy food, drink orange juice, etc. And so I redesign everything, and I spend hours with the people who actually sell the food, the orange, and it's incredible how much you learn. And I try my best to be there for them, and to try. It's exactly the same. Me, as soon as I had my diploma, I went back to Morocco. I was like directly, and as I try to understand, try to be part of this of the country moving forward, and trying to be as much as possible close to the history of the country, to the history of the civilization, and try to, by knowing the history, trying to evolve. When I use this word evolve, it's not in a pejorative way. It's really trying to move forward, and because it's also that the beauty. It's being part of something that goes further, that's evolve. Voilà. So basically, here you go.
Am I right that you're not able to share any of the pictures that you're working on at the moment?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But you will come. We are working on it. So next time you come to Marrakesh, you will be able to see everything. Voilà.
I think I'll take you up on that. Definitely, because I've been to Marrakesh, so it'd be good to know and come and see you. So just carrying on from that, Younes, I want to ask you, in what ways can European cities learn from the global south to design with greater empathy and sensitivity? Because you've been talking about, communities and knowing what people want and speaking to the vendors and those sort of people. So how would you respond to that?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because the thing is, because I have this double nationality, double culture, as French and Moroccan, and I have a different way of seeing things, because I was raised by my mother. She told me the coutume from there, the way you cook things, the way you make things. But I was also French with my father, with the family and everything. So I have these things where suddenly I look at things a bit differently, and it's exactly what I said when I was in the Medina, in the souk. In the French dictionary, souk means disorder, mess. So, for example, if you have a kid and he's making a mess in his room, you say, "Oh, it's the souk and it's basically the starting point of my analysis." I was like, "But how you define that is a mess? Is it a mess?"
Yeah.
It can be. So I studied it, and I realized that it's super well organized. Super well organized. The way they make the products, they sell the product. So when you go there, suddenly you feel a bit lost, because you're not used to this culture, and you're not used to the way the coutume and everything. But actually, when you stop thinking that way, you're like, let's understand, and you understand that the factor of time is totally different. I will not go too deep in it, but it's something that, just to synthesize, in Occidental country, everything is calculated by time. To go to point A to a point B, it's the time that you have to spend to go to these 2 points. In the Moroccan culture, it's people. It's the number of people that you're gonna meet during those 2 points, A and B. So for example, if you're in the souk, you don't say how many times it's gonna take me to change this babouche. You say who I need to meet. Oh, you're gonna let me come with you. There is Mahmoud there. He's very nice. He knows, and you lose time basically, yeah. But you met so much people, and you gathered so much knowledge. So basically, I did. That's why I did my diploma in this design school about the souk of the Medina, because I wanted people to understand that it's not a mess. It's super well organized. So I started working on that, and I started doing lecture, and I started doing this. And that's why I think what we can learn, it's changing this point of view about thinking that everything coming from the south is old and not really interesting. And I'm part of it because I'm also out of French, so I know how we can be sometimes a bit proud, and suddenly it's like trying to make this link and trying to see where we can learn from each other. Voilà. And this is changing. Imagine being in a French dictionary. Imagine how the perception you have of a culture when something that is really part of the culture, the souk, the definition is mess, is a disorder. So you imagine how difficult it can be to change it. But it's all my my years of what I'm doing in Morocco, and how I try to explain it, and how I try to create things for people to understand that it can be seen in a different way.
Yeah, so you're an ideal example of how you can bridge cultures and climates and continents as well.
Yeah.
And then have a different viewpoint. Thank you very much, Younes. Ezequiel, coming to you, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your story? Because I know there's something quite special that you want to say.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for the invitation. First of all, important thing, I think I'm presented as an architect there, but I'm not an architect. I'm an artist. And the second important thing is I'm representing a very small architectural study in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We work in Patagonia also with Luis Aparicio, that is here, that is actually the architect of the study. So I think before talking about this dream that we make together, I perhaps can tell our story. How do we met, and in what type of context do we met, and in what type of conversations we were into before making that adventure. So I'm actually doing. Do you know the people that walks between the mountains or between the buildings with a line? So I've been doing that for like 14 years in my life, since I'm like 20 years. So I've evolved like in rigging systems, in textile rigging systems for me to walk up the heights. So in that evolving of thinking on systems, I met Luis, that he's actually a climber and an architect also, and we met in the context of the practice of making this sort of bridges where we can walk. So our sport and our conversations and our imagination started to take a little bit more of structure with him when we started talking about making structures. What if we could make structures that could be um, removable, because we always were in our story. We were always talking. We always make systems that were fast and removable, so we can inhabitate them and they take them down. So we started our journey in 2018, and we started making lightweight structures where we can be inside. Um, and this particular project is called Ovo Patagonia. So our study is called Perspectiva Area. This project is called Ovo Patagonia. And this was an invitation from a property in the south of Argentina, in El Chaltén. This is a very small town. So there's a property owner, Federico Echevarria, that he called us, and he knew that we were working in creating structures, and so he basically invited us to think a wall. So he gave us the first invitation to the project. So when we actually started thinking and started with the project, it was straight away. With Luis, we actually had designs of walls before, so we were already thinking about how to attach to a wall. But that was our intrigue. We wanted to develop. We wanted to develop those type of things. So actually, the first draft that we had is actually very like this that you are seeing. So about this project in particular, it is a very committed project. We spent 4 years living on that mountain. We made that project with a very particular way of making it. First of all, because it wasn't made before, so we had to do a lot of studies to do it. Also, because we work without signal, without electricity, without any type of or things that makes things easier. So basically we first of all had to study condor areas. I don't know if you know condors. Condors are the big birds around there. So we for the implantation we had to study condor areas. So we were understanding all the ecosystems around living there. We've been living literally camping up there to understand the world, to understand the place. So like we had the design, and we knew what design we were making, but we had to adapt that design to the territory. So that adaptation first was in thinking how can we do a structure that then we could take it out. So that's an important thing of our design thinking. We always think about the end of it. So we thought, how can we do a thing that is, as you can see there, the structure is a heavy structure, it's 2-ton structure, and it has only 9 anchor points. So it's like we had to think about something that could adapt to the wall, but at the same time to be made in our workshop in Buenos Aires, in series, because we had to our engineer team had to validate everything. I mean, we had to to make it real. So the files of the project bring all these limits that we and Luis had, that we wanted something that is low impact to the wall, because we wanted to take it out when the project finishes. So Simon, you just...
No, I'm fascinated. Now carry on.
Like perhaps some engineers or our engineers were saying, like, why those limits? And we were saying that we need to study the condor areas because we want condors to be around. I mean, if we are building experience, because we think of this as an experience, we want people to live this extreme environment and to be immersed inside the context. So the context is the condors also, you know. So actually now there are condors around and they didn't move. So I think that the respect of watching the world at the start and starting all the studies and watching the context was very important for us, and the limits of making something that we could take down. So that first limits, I think, that are like the essential things that we've been working. Like I think that those values are the ones that make perhaps a little bit more difficult the project in a way, but at the same time are the values that we maintain in our first conversations.
I wanted to kind of ask you, there's a lot of things that are going around my mind and probably the audience as well, but I think this is a really good and strong example of how your client has been somebody that took a risk as well, and they wanted to be on the same journey as you and experience it. And I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit more about that in terms of, you know, how did that relationship go? Because obviously it's not always that you get a client on board for something that's so adventurous and different.
Yeah, we are we get friends with him. It's like when he dreamt of something, he just saw it. He saw the world, and he say, "We should have something here." And when we sent the draft, the hand draft to him, he was like, "You think this is possible?" And we were saying like, "Yes, we think it is possible, but we had to go on a journey together." So we became partners in a way. It's like we started as a provider, and then we get partners of the project. Also, we say, let's take the risk together. So that I think that was an important thing for this first project. Like we take the risk with him in the results of the project.
Because you couldn't prove it was going to work, really, could you? Until you tried.
We never. Yeah, we actually, up to the moment of the first client going and passing a night there, we didn't even know if people was going to go there. It's like we were so passionate for building it in the best way we could, that we couldn't even think about like how would people feel. In a way, we designed it for the people, but when we get inside the project, we were so passionate of making it happen, because many people around was saying that was impossible to do, and our clients actually. There's a thing that we always said, that we are working in terms of memory. We want to create experiences that people don't forget. So it's like we are working on that focus. Like, how can we create something that is a point in the memory of our passengers, of our clients?
Yeah.
So it's like that was like our main goal when we thought about this project, and people actually are enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, because you're building in the air, really, rather than on the ground, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what would you say are the benefits, though, that you've created from, you know, producing these structures in terms of people spending time there? I mean, you've mentioned some of the challenges.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's like different decision-making themes to talk about. First of all, we didn't turn up not even a tree. That was another limit that we had. Like, how can we make this without turning down one tree? So the first thing is that property owners were saying like, hey, we can do a road beside, so we can get all the materials. And we were saying, we take the numbers, make the number. We say, if we do a road, we are gonna turn down a lot of trees, and also we are gonna have motors inside the wooden area, so the small birds and they're gonna be like perturbed. So we say, why won't we do it in the air? So we just construct everything through the air, literally. So there's a tower up there. So there's a cable going down, a 500 meter cable.
So half a kilometer, yeah.
Yeah, half a kilometer cable down. So all the materials actually went flying, literally. So we get them flying. The modules, we divided them in 3. So we actually put the modules flying up, and then we progressed the modules through the wall with rigging systems as we worked before rigging systems. I mean, that's what our history.
So your climbing experience kind of came to the fore in that, yeah.
We use all our climate and highline experience. Rigging textile systems for us is easy. We've been doing that 14 years. So we put all our rigging systems to work for the progression of the capsules and for the design itself. So in terms of numbers, we could turn down hundreds or thousands of trees, and we actually impacted in 2 square meters, one down and one up. There's only the anchors for the towers that are also removable.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure we can come back to this because there's so many other things that I want to ask, and I'm sure the audience do too. But I have to bring in the other panelists too. Coming to you, Rafiq, I want to kind of come back to Bangladeshi architecture. Just to ask you, what can cities around the world learn from the adaptability and modesty of Bangladeshi architecture?
Oh, thank you.
Because you showed us lots of wonderful examples.
Yeah, I think Bangladesh, since is the age of ocean and is sedimentation of Himalayas basically. So sedimentation is still going on. So it's a dynamic landscape. Our landscape is extremely dynamic. So it's acceptable to. It's continuously changing, and you are adapting the changes continuously. So probably in our gene, in our blood, from many thousands of years, we have started learning. Of course, we have a lot of damage, history of damage. People dying, one storm and tornado, probably 100,000 people died once upon a time. So, but we learned gradually that how to mitigate and the resilience we develop gradually, which is amazing, basically. So that is one, I think, one kind of extreme example that maybe world can look at very carefully, that how we are mitigating because we have not only yearly floods, we have flash floods also. Suddenly it's coming like 10 to 20, 15 meters of flood, and going within a week it's gone back. So all the things, we have level of extremity that we are handling for many, many hundreds of years, and that resilience and not only resilience, I think we have developed the friendship with this sort of sometimes hostile climate, which is most of the time very beautiful. Definitely, we must respect them, but we know how to handle all these things, and we develop schools, highlands and on the pilotis. So these are basically shelters. Anything coming up, the information now is very easy over phone, or the radio, and miking in the community. They're all moving with their cows and goats to that particular school, which is elevatedly built. So we have very indigenous sort of and local sort of develop understanding, and it's spread all over the country, which actually accumulation is actually saved us nowadays. So it's not very high technology. It's a mix of things, hybrid.
Yeah, but also you could see from the examples that you showed that you involve the community, which I know is a word we've used a lot today, but it seems to be very, very key to everything in terms of success. And as much as people have had quite extreme situations to deal with in terms of flooding, they do seem to kind of benefit, and they enjoy what you've created. So it's fascinating to see that, and I'm sure other people can learn from that. Thank you very much. Younes, just coming to you. I want to kind of bring in the idea of heritage, how designers can protect heritage while embracing modern innovation in post-colonial context. Do you have anything you want to contribute about that?
Yes, it's again understanding the story of an object. It's part of that when you study, for example, when you have this the square, this Jamalafna square, you realize that in 1920, when the French took Morocco, basically, and the colonization of Morocco, you understand that they modified things that is not linked to what it was before. So, for example, when we did the impact study, it was part of the questioning about like, okay, it's part of the history of Morocco, but what is actually the things that is this square, the meaning of this square and the spirit of this square, does it change it? It modified it? Does it link to the story of the square or not? And we realized, for example, for people who went there, I don't know if you can see a picture of the square, but you have the mosque, the Koutoubia Mosque, which is a famous mosque, and you have the square in front of the Koutoubia. And the French created this road that's really straight in the middle. And actually, when you understand the story, it was always linked. So we spent, for example, we had this meeting with all the institutions. You have to understand that you have, I count once during a meeting, we had 56 people in front of you trying to convince them. Like it's not one client, it's 56 people, like ministre, the wali, and we explained that we have to make it like piéton. I don't know in English. Like you can walk, and we have to get rid of this road that is in the middle of the Koutoubia. And
so making it like pedestrian.
Voilà, pedestrian.
Yeah.
And we spend hours talking with them and saying like, it's not us telling you to do that. It's the history of the square that tells you that we have to do it. And basically, it's what is going to be done soon. It's, for example, and just the thing is, it was hours of talk, and you understand that there is different kind of people involved, and but the thing is like now it's going to be done, and the square will be again back to what it was, with these natural things going from the mosque to the square, to the square.
And so, yeah, and did you talk to them about your definition of time as being people rather than hours and minutes? Did that really help?
I think they know my work, so the thing is, but the thing is like it's not that difficult to understand, but it changed completely the way you create object and you create product and everything. And basically, when I was a student in this design school, I quickly realized that, of course, you know design. It was created the Industrial Revolution, the arts and craft and everything, but it's not that old. So it's and because it's mass producing, it's all this new technology. Sometimes you question yourself, and you're like, yes, but why? And why before design product exists? It's not suddenly we created mass production and linear production that suddenly changed everything. So basically, it's part of this work of understanding from different civilization, different countries, suddenly architecture, I know it's different, but design is so new, basically.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, that people, us as a human race, developed and designed things before we had technology and machinery. Yeah,
exactly.
Rafiq, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to add something like, is actually the mindset, how you look at the things. But I was thinking like, if you think the flood, I heard from BBC and CNN when I was young, very young actually then, I heard that Bangladesh is a country of toil, is a problematic things. But now I learned there's a beautiful phenomena. If we wait for the floods, if there's no flood, the next year a hell lot of people will die, because we produce almost our own food. We don't import much of food from other countries, just because of this flood. the whole perception is now, we wait for the flood. People think when the flood is, it's devastating. It's not true. So it's a perception, actually,
Yes,
so
yeah.
how we look at things.
Yeah, I think it's, from a perhaps Western perspective, we might see it as a disaster and terrible and a loss. But yeah, you're embracing it. Ezequiel, I want to kind of quickly ask you in terms of buildings between cities. Do you feel there's opportunities, thinking about what you've created, that you can, create that sort of landscape, not on mountains, but in metropolitan areas?
Yeah, actually, yes. That's what we are working on, and that's
really?
our aerial perspective, our study. We are developing those type of systems. As I was saying, it's because our origin. I mean, in our practice, I'm used to put my eyes between things because I want to walk between those buildings and do things between those buildings. So we with Luis, we share that view on that way of watching spaces between trees, between buildings, between mountains, in valleys. Like we watch the space between, and when we watch the space between, we watch it with a culture of making this, in a way, ephemeral or removable spaces. And we are all the time working on developing this type of architecture. We are now in our way to the parametric way of constructing and building these small cabins that can be structural, so can be attached or flying with systems to get to. So, I mean, perhaps this example was a lot of fantasy. It was a fantasy project, and it was made real. But yes, we think that we could solve problems, or that we could use spaces that are actually there without having to make new constructions.
Yeah, so reusing existing buildings and
reusing existing constructions. Using the structures that are actually there and the spaces between. And that's why we went into the parametric field, or we are working the parametric field, so we can map spaces and work with we are building a small software with algorithms, so we can actually design in these aerial spaces. So that's our journey. We are just starting this very small study. I'm surrounded by very cool people here, so it's...
I have one more question for all of you, but I'm not sure if there's any questions from the audience before I ask this question. If you do have, just put your hand up. I want to ask each of you, what does natural intelligence mean to you? Younes, do you want to start? As that's the overarching talk.
Natural intelligence.
It can be a simple answer. Anyway.
I don't know, but the thing is, like, when I listen to all of you, and I'm super proud to be part of this panel, I just realized that it's like you see the mountains because of your culture, because where you're from, the way you've been raised, you see opportunities. And you see things, it's like flood. Suddenly we've been, like, during years and years since we are young, said that it's not good, it's not flood or bad, mountains, you can't live in there, the souk is a mess, and and suddenly we are like, we don't want to go in a fight, but let's step aside, look at it and make it like an opportunity. And I think it's what I've seen, perhaps natural intelligence, I don't know if it's the answer, but it's the things that I see from all of the projects we've made and all of the things, beautiful things you've made. We see opportunity and we want to do things, and we don't want to impose or fight or say, you don't understand, it's like this, it's like that. By creating something new, we question, and then the curiosity of people say, they see things differently. Why they made it like that? Why? And the dialogue, it creates an opportunity of dialogue, communicating, and I have this example, and I will finish with that. It's like the first object I made in 2006. It was a bookshelf where I used the geometrical pattern, the Islamic geometrical pattern, and I created this bookshelf, trying to understand the math of it and how you can plug it, like you can design products, like basic design in the box, carrying, making it, no screw, no. But it's this shape of this Islamic, and I made this object saying, oh, it's a nice idea because the pattern is interesting, and I suddenly it went like viral, magazines and everything, and I remember Kanye West used this bookshelf and talked about this bookshelf. Oh, it looks like a snowflake. And I was like, oh, cool. Because suddenly, just having another point of view, being inspired by other things, suddenly create opportunities of dialogue, and all this fear we have with this Islamic civilization, the pattern, the calligraphy and everything, completely shift to something else where it created the opportunity of talking about it easily, without no fear, without nothing.
Yeah, a different interpretation.
Voilà,
absolutely.
c'est ça.
Yeah. And Ezequiel, what does natural intelligence mean to you?
Okay.
Briefly.
Yeah, I would say that. What he's saying is beautiful. I would say curiosity. Curiosity is a very important thing to grasp, because the last panel, all those beautiful people talking about very new things to do. I think that being open to curiosity is being open to the net around us. So being opening your senses to the people around, I think that it makes information flow through us, and in that flow, I think that we can get more intelligent in a way. So curiosity is a very good thing to continue.
Thank you, Ezequiel. And Rafiq, what would you say natural intelligence means?
I think that's almost similar. The first thing is the asking questions. Learn to ask questions, and learn from your surroundings. For example, the body, we don't see our body most of the time, how beautifully structured and built and finished, You see the hairs is actually something like disappearing. It moves, means it's talking to the winds, actually. It's a dialogue with the winding. And your finger is moving, all the years is going through. Actually, it's reviving. You can't see probably. And it's becoming thinner and disappearing. And the nail is also another piece, even disappearing, and even your food. So it's all about disappearance in the whole Mother Nature, basically. So this is, if you understand these things as disappearance, that means you are actually part of the whole nature, and that is who understands that natural, intelligence, probably we can call it. And you can see everything, you can see is very much connected with everything. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Before I kind of summarize and wrap things up, I want to please join you, the audience, and thank the panelists, Rafiq, Ezequiel, and Younes, for their contributions today. So I just want to say a sort of final thing, really. Thank you to the entire DNA Paris Design Awards team for creating a platform that truly celebrates the power of dialogue, creativity, and shared purpose. I think we've had a lot of that today, which has been fantastic. Heartfelt thank you to all the panelists for your insight and generosity, and especially to Roman and Hussein. Thank you. Working with you over the past 4 years has been a genuine pleasure. This time it's always a time of year, it's a real highlight for me. You have an absolutely amazing global reach of intellectual spirit, which continues to inspire and deserves real recognition. Thank you to all of you, the audience, for coming, for your questions and your reflections. And for those of you that are attending later on at the Design Awards ceremony, I look forward to seeing you later on. So thank you and have a very good rest of your day.
And thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Oh.